if my father, the person who's supposed to love and protect me, didn't choose me, didn't think I was important enough, how is anyone else ever gonna choose me?
Hello, Amelia here. What you are about to hear is an INFJ exploring of can she actually be an entrepreneur over 3 sessions with me. This is the very first of those sessions. This is a real person with real doubts. And in the next 45 minutes or so, you will hear us talking about overcoming the fear of not being important, overcoming fears about self-employment, healing inner child wounds for professional growth, navigating marketing and self-employment, and healing inner child wounds so they can professionally thrive. And how we cover all of these is looking at this through the round table model, which you've probably not heard of before. If you want more information or if you have questions about that, there is a blog post below that should answer some of those questions. And if not, just leave those in the comment, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, so thank you so much for joining me. So tell us your type and your topic you want to work on starting this first session.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am an INFJ, and my topic is, can I be an entrepreneur?
Which is a great question. And my question back to you with that, can I be an entrepreneur? What do you mean by entrepreneur?
That is also a good question. Can I be self-employed? Can I not be, can I be the opposite of an employee with all the risks that come with that, with all the having to do marketing and having to get clients and having to organize everything, and having my income completely depend on me, in the sense of I am the company, I am the service provider. When I'm not there, then when I'm not working, then there's no income, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure that can come with that because there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
that come with the entrepreneur. So what feelings or emotions come up when you start thinking of going out on your own?
I'm completely freaked out.
Okay.
I'm scared. I mean, I have I'm chronically ill, so I have a lot of sick days at work, and I think, for example, that would be something almost incompatible or very risky.
Sure.
And also, I have this thought in my head that I'm not good at getting people to want to work with me. Like, once I'm working with them, it's fine. I'm doing a good job, but getting people there, I have this thought that I'm not good at that. And previous job interviews sort of made me believe that, because I've applied so many times, and with the exception for once, I've only gotten negative feedback. So yeah, that freaks me out as well. So
Got it. And when you said with all the other interviews that you went on, you said you got negative feedback from all of them, or you got negative feedback from one of them or something else?
I got negative feedback on all but one of them. I have a job now, so I got positive feedback once, but that was the only time. Actually, I've applied to different jobs before that, and actually after that as well, and I've never gotten a yes.
Interesting. So just so we're on the same page, you're curious, can I be an entrepreneur? Can I sustain myself? You're afraid of relying on that because it's a lot of pressure for you to come up with solutions when things are going well, when things are not going well, when you're healthy, when you're sick, when the economy's strong, when the economy is a little questionable. And you're a little freaked out and wondering how the hell you're going to do it, possibly. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. So with self-employed, what's the biggest frustration or biggest pain point right now for you?
There seem to be so many things um, that need to be done before I can actually get started working. So for me, the actual work is like mentoring, so working one-on-one with clients. And when I'm doing that, I'm really happy and I'm really good at it and I feel fulfilled. But there's so many interferences with that, getting to the point that I find a client, but also a lot of times the client wants to reschedule and having to organize that, and then having to. I only have one client at the moment, but it's already, thinking about, okay, if I need to reschedule with them all the time, where do I fit in the other clients? How do I do that when there are more of them? It seems like it feels to me there are too many moving pieces and I can't keep track of all of them.
Yeah, and thinking about having to do that with multiple clients is exhausting. I've
Yeah.
been there and it sucks, quite frankly, and they're not, the clients might be really fun to work with, but the challenge also is your time as well, and what is that costing you? So talk to me more about finding clients, because you've said that a couple times. What are the frustrations with finding clients, or what are the emotional hangups with finding clients?
I feel like I can't communicate well enough, sort of do social media posts um, that reach people. I feel like I can't communicate what I'm doing. I can't communicate in a way that attracts people.
Okay. And what kind of, so social media and marketing is really interesting because there's a million different ways that you can do it, and there's a million different ways to find success. And finding success in a way that lands with people is going to be really challenging if you are doing it in a way that doesn't serve you and lights you up. So my question is, what do you enjoy doing for marketing? Or what platforms do you enjoy putting out content on? Do you know?
I right now I don't enjoy it at all.
Okay.
I feel, I feel overwhelmed by how am I supposed to do it? How am I supposed to do the formatting? What kind of picture am I supposed to put in there? How do I phrase things? It's all like I don't know. And I also have that thought that I'm not good at this shit, and I'm also not interested in doing it better. It feels like I don't enjoy it, and it feels like it's a waste of my time
Yeah,
because it's not getting me anywhere anyway, you know.
yeah, and if it's not giving you any results and you don't enjoy it, then why would you want to continue doing that? So what platform, or what are you doing right now for marketing?
Well, the one thing that has worked is talking to people in my environment.
Okay.
When I get talking to people, I usually can reach them.
Awesome.
They're usually interested.
And this is talking to people one-on-one or talking to people over social media or talking to people online?
No, it's one-on-one in person. Yeah. Yeah, it can be smaller groups too, maybe 3, 4, 5 people top.
Yep.
I was thinking about maybe doing events, but that also overwhelmed me because it's too many people at once, and then
Yes.
I can't connect. I feel like I can't connect with a whole group of people.
Yeah. And do you enjoy going out and talking to people?
I do enjoy it in the right setting. Like again, not too big groups. So, like the 3, 4, 5 people is fine, but when it gets bigger, it gets overwhelming to me and draining.
Yeah, classic introvert. Classic introvert problems. So the interesting thing with marketing that I feel like a lot of people are not talking about is unless your marketing is coming out from you in a way that you enjoy, then it's going to be really tough for you to get results out of. So if you, let's say you're on Instagram and you're trying to figure out, what do I post? What is the what is the format? What do I say? What does the thing look like? It's going to not attract what you want because you're not showing up really as your best self. Maybe you're confused. Maybe you're wondering, why the hell am I doing this? Maybe you're resentful deep down because you feel like you should be doing it. Is there any of that with the social media or the other marketing that you're doing?
Yeah, with the social media. I'm not even on Instagram. The only social media I'm on is Facebook, you
Okay.
know. And until maybe last year, I only ever like shared stuff or reshared stuff that other people posted and maybe made a comment on that. But that was the extent of it.
Yeah.
And through the mentoring program I'm in right now, I'm challenged to do those posts, like after every session, I'm supposed to post how it went and what my insight was and all that, and once or twice, when I felt like I was really in the zone, when I was authentic and I posted what was on my mind, then it attracted interest from other people. It attracted reaction.
Interesting.
Yes, but I wasn't actually trying to attract anyone. I was just doing that for myself,
Yep.
with no one else in mind.
Yep.
But it's really difficult to get into that zone because I feel stressed out because I feel like I'm supposed to do more posts and I'm supposed to create more content for a website or whatever. And that stresses me out, and then I'm not in the zone and it's not authentic, and it doesn't lead anywhere.
Yep. And I am going to screen share this. So this is the INFJ roundtable model, and the INFJs have a very fun roundtable model, as all the 16 Myers-Briggs types have. And there's 4 different roles that all Myers-Briggs types have. They have the adult self, the inner parent, the 10-year-old inner child, and the 3-year-old inner child. And these are the bold statements at the top here. And the different Myers-Briggs types are really determined by 4 different parts: thinking, feeling, sensing, intuition, in different orders of these 4 roles. So this is how this breaks down. So for the INFJ, their adult self is the witness, which is inward intuition. So they really enjoy coming up with different insights. They enjoy looking at different patterns, finding new things to connect. When it's paired with the outward facing feeling, the inner parent for the INFJ, the inward intuition is really great at picking up patterns from other people, being almost psychic with other people, knowing what's going on with them without having to say, oh, I'm having a hard time. They just might know just from looking at them or just what they're saying. So the inward intuition is the part that they use the most, which is called the adult self. And then just so I'll explain this all for the INFJ, the inner parent is that second most used part. Its job is to help the adult self drive your life forward and keep you organized and balanced. And for the INFJ, the unifier loves being I call it like a host of the party, the person that's interested in how's everyone doing, what's going on with everyone, what does the group need, where is the weakness of the group? Oh, this person's standing alone. I'll go introduce them to this person who they might like. So that they're a great host when they're healthy and balanced, and when they're not healthy and balanced, which is frustrating. They're too focused on the group and not focused on them at all. So they're over concerned about the group's needs. They leave themselves in the dust, and they can really struggle with balancing the group with themselves and feel like they're at the receiving end of other people or needing to be approved by other people. And then the 10-year-old inner child for the INFJ is called the scientist. That's the nickname. The part is the inward thinking. And the inward thinking is all about what's making sense, what they know and what they don't know. And it's usually falling in black and white terms, because that 10-year-old thinks in black and white terms, all or nothing. So when it doesn't know something, it might think it's an idiot. And then it either goes to the extreme of knowing everything and feeling very intelligent, and when it feels like it knows everything. So it can this part can struggle when things aren't making sense, or with people not making sense, or random occurrences not making sense. And then the 3-year-old inner child, that's this final box on the lower left, is called the nickname is the investigator, and that's outward sensing. This part loves looking at what's going on, that it can use its 5 senses to see and gather information with. So what do I smell? What do I taste? What do I hear? What do I see? And I always forget the 5th one when I'm listing these off. So so of these 4 parts of you, which one do you feel is having a hard time with the marketing?
My 10-year-old.
And when you were saying things like, I should be doing this, and things not, to me, I feel like your 10-year-old's trying to make sense of the marketing. What should I be doing? What should I say here? What should I do here? And what's going on with your 10-year-old inner child there?
Feels scared and insecure. She doesn't know where things are headed or what she's supposed to do. Yeah.
And that can be really hard to, sorry, go for it.
Yeah, it's just like, tell me what I need to do and I will do it, you know.
The scientist, when it's on board, can be the best sidekick and helper for the INFJ when it's healthy. So it wants to do a good job. It just needs to know what the hell to do. And it's hard when you might be struggling with, what do I do as well? So what does that part of you need right now?
She needs to believe that someone knows what they're doing. So, I mean, it's like with me, there's a pattern of not being supported by parents and not being guided, and having to grow up early and having to figure stuff out myself. And I think that's coming out there. So, like, my 10-year-old thinks she needs to figure it out, and she needs to know where we're going and what we're doing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah. And it's difficult to to access my inner grown-up in a situation like that, because I totally identify with my 10-year-old. That's my life experience, right? So it's painful, but it's also most familiar.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult to step out of that and to consider other options, like going to the inner grown-ups and ask what they think or what they perceive or what they feel like we should be doing.
Yeah, and a lot of INFJs are operating and living their life out of that 10-year-old inner child. So you are not the only one living. I would love for everybody to be completely balanced, but the problem is they're just not. And then we get into situations like this that you are, a kind, caring person, and then wanting to help other people. And you're like, my stuff's not landing, and you're trying to figure it out, and then you're overworked, and your 10-year-old is trying to make sense of it. But the problem is it's never going to make sense of this.
Yeah, not her job either.
Yeah. Yep. She's supposed to be that sidekick. So what does your inner parent need to do differently? Do you have any idea?
You know what? I've been considering that, or I feel like I've been trying to work at that on that at least for a while. And then, the sort of first or easy answer is always, well, my inner parent needs to step up and needs to be a parent and needs to take responsibility and all that. But sometimes I really don't know how to do that, because my unifier is just so there's such a big abandonment wound with her, and she's in so much pain, and it's almost like she goes AWOL, you know?
Mm.
And
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
So tell me about the AWOL situation. Do you feel like she's going missing with this desire to be an entrepreneur or the marketing aspect?
Yeah. She, I mean, she's there when when we're actually doing the mentoring. She's very much in the zone, right? And there's so much compassion and understanding, and but getting there, it's like there's a lot of, even when we're scheduling, when a client wants to reschedule, it's just like I have to breathe through it, because she thinks, oh, I'm not wanted here, I'm and I don't think she can even face that marketing part, where I need to put myself out there, and then people are gonna decide whether they like me or not, or whether I'm wanted or not. That's too painful to even consider.
Yeah, because if this part of you is questioning, and possibly other parts of you as well might be in on this, if this part of you is wondering, am I really wanted by other people, especially if people haven't been there for you in the past, why would they want to be sticking themselves out there and saying like, hey, who wants to work with me? Like that doesn't add up. There's no reason why they would be doing that, because that fear is just too much of a question.
Yes, exactly.
So tell me more about the not feeling wanted.
Okay, so the the not feeling wanted. My father died when I was 8, and he didn't have to die. He had an illness that could have been cured had he gone to see a physician, but he chose not to.
Mm.
And uh, I've always felt like he didn't love me enough, or didn't want me enough, didn't want to stay with me. I know he had his problems, but I always felt like I wasn't important enough to balance that out.
To stick around.
Hmm.
Yep. And so not important enough. Do you feel like your clients are going to find you or see you as not important enough?
Yeah. Like with the rescheduling, and it's like, are you not taking this work seriously? We've only had 3 sessions, and already you're trying to reschedule because you have people come over, or family come over. Why do you not say, I need this 1 hour a day, and or a week, and to work on myself? It feels like, I can hear myself, and I can see, okay, they have their own priorities. Maybe they're not able to set boundaries and all that. They have their own challenge. It's probably not about me, but
Yep.
still, it does feel like that.
And it'll feel like I feel like it'll feel like that, especially if you feel not important enough.
Yeah.
So it might not be what's actually happening with the other person at all when they're trying to reschedule. Maybe they've got stuff going on. Maybe they don't care that much about the work. Maybe who knows what's going on with them. But if you feel not important enough, that's going to keep triggering you, and that's going to prevent you from stopping that behavior going forward as well. Is this too blunt what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
Okay. So because the hard part about being an entrepreneur, and I see this with myself, I see this with other people. There's books that talk about little snippets of this, that so much of being an entrepreneur is figuring out where the hell I'm triggering myself. Where do I feel not important enough? Am I taking things from my past and putting it into my future? And it's stopping me from going after what I want or seeing what the possibilities are. And everyone has their shit, but the healthier you are, the better of an entrepreneur you're going to be, because you're going to not have these things coloring your vision going forward. Because feeling not important enough is really tough to carry around for anyone. And when you're trying to provide for yourself, it's going to be a bigger weight that is just going to slow you down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably stopping you from who you really want to be, because no one wants to be wondering, am I important enough? Are people actually going to stick around for me?
No.
So I'm curious, what does your 10-year-old think about this question of, am I important enough?
Uh, uh, she asks that question too, or she tries to work around it by saying, I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna try to prove that I'm worthy. If I can do everything, if I'm, smart enough, successful enough, uh, then I will not be abandoned.
Yeah. Yep. And what is your 3-year-old saying about this? That not this, but this idea that I'm not important enough.
Yeah. With her, it's a lot of grief around my father, grief around not having people that are important, be absent, not being with her, not seeing them, not being able to hug them, or hear their voice.
not seeing them, not hearing them, not having them at the holidays, not being able to call them, not being able to hear his voice.
Yeah.
That 3-year-old can carry a lot of grief in situations like this, especially wondering, are other people going to do this to me? How do I know that I'm good enough for people to stick around? And what this 3-year-old can be doing when they're doing that is that they're looking at what your dad, and I'm not saying that your 3-year-old's doing this, I'm just saying as an INFJ, this is something that the 3-year-olds can do, as they're looking for information that says, oh, that person's like my dad. Oh, this person's doing this, so they're going to treat me like my dad did. So with the clients that are going like, hey, that are canceling and having to reschedule with you, it's really important that you slow that 3-year-old down and identify the differences of those clients and your dad.
Mm. Yeah. Well, what's coming up for me is like that typical thing of always and never. Um, so it's like I'm never important enough. People always prioritize someone else.
Awesome. Which part of you is that? Always and never?
The little one, the 3-year-old, I believe.
And which part of you makes black or white decisions?
The 10-year-old.
So your 3-year-old might be picking up information that says, oh, these people aren't prioritizing me. And your 10-year-old is going, yeah, people are never going to choose me.
Yeah.
Because as long as you're in this always and never, in this always and never state, it's always going to be a never, because people probably can't choose you in the way that your inner children, that 10-year-old and that 3-year-old, want to be chosen.
Mm. Yeah. I agree.
How are these parts of you feeling right now, your 10-year-old and 3-year-old?
On the verge of crying, both of them.
Yeah. And it's okay to cry. Sometimes crying is some of the best things that you can do in these situations. And what's the saddest part about this for your 10-year-old and your 3-year-old?
That's the saddest part. You know, what comes up for me is like if my father, the person who's supposed to love and protect me, didn't choose me, didn't think I was important enough, how is anyone else ever gonna choose
Mm.
me? How can I be important to anyone else if I wasn't important to my father?
Yep. And that's a heavy weight to bear. Do you think that he wanted you to carry that weight around?
No. No, and with my adult parts, I know that. He had a difficult life, and the situation with my mother wasn't easy, and he cared for me. He just didn't know how to do life anymore,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. So it sounds like, yeah, go for it.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, when people get into these situations, because part of us can know that that person's decision to do whatever, which was really probably really hurtful, that was about them. But the other parts of you, like the 10-year-old and your 3-year-old, are still not over it. So it sounds like we can work on getting this 10-year-old and 3-year-old to identify what they're going to need so they don't feel like people are going to just always be unimportant to you. How does that sound?
Mhm. Yeah. More work with and on my inner children. Sounds good. Sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, the 10-year-old is one of the easiest places to start because that 3-year-old can be fucking tough in these because they're so stubborn and that pain can be so deep in there, especially with these abandonment wounds, that it can take a long time for this to change, but it can absolutely change. I used to have a really bad abandonment wound and I literally no longer have that. I don't think about that anymore. So it's totally possible, but it's going to require work from you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Would you like something you can do with that 10-year-old?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So it was saying always and never to being important enough. Do you remember what it was saying with always and never?
I'm never important. I'm never the top priority.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why? Ask it why.
Well, how can I be if my own parents didn't prioritize me? Well,
Yeah. So your 10-year-old said, how can I be if the parents didn't show? So one of the biggest things that you can do for an INFJ, I've found one of the most effective things you can do is try to outsmart that 10-year-old. So, which is challenging because it's very smart, but it doesn't know everything. So I'm trying to figure out how do I ask it questions so it can start thinking about things just a little differently. So I'm going to ask questions and I just want to keep the dialogue open here. So how can I be if the parents didn't show me? So I'm just going to throw out stuff. I don't know if it's going to land or not. So I want to respond to this. How can I be if the parents didn't show me? And then I want to say, is there any way you can be wrong about this? And what does it think back, or what does it say back to that?
well, there's that. There's someone. So my husband told me about research that when you have parental wounds as a child, no one else can make that go away once you're an adult.
So does your 10-year-old say that the research is saying you're always going to have this wound?
Yes.
Is there any way that might not be possible?
Well, if the parents showed up and did their job.
So there is a way then, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly. but
sorry, go for it.
Not much faith in the inner parent showing up.
Yeah, it's going to have to learn how. But just so my purpose here, it's like just trying to get that 10-year-old to crack just a smidge on, is there a possibility? Rather, so we're going from all or never to a possibility. And when that possibility shows up, that's when it can start thinking differently and go, oh, I need the help from the inner parent. So do you see what I just did there?
Yeah. And I also have my 10-year-old saying, yeah, but.
Yeah. Yeah. And is there any, so just keep asking that part questions, because I found that when the 10-year-old can be asked questions enough, it'll eventually get to a point it doesn't know. And it'll just say, you can't start saying like, yeah, but. And at a certain point, you need to thank your 10-year-old for saying, I appreciate you keeping me in this space, but I don't feel like you really want to be here. And I don't want to be here either. So let's go try to find another way.
Yeah, that resonates. Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a lot of pain that 10-year-old might be harboring from the dad's decision.
Yeah, because it's maybe something like because it's the devil we know. You know, it's not, I don't want to be there, but it's familiar, the pain. It's how I've lived for a long time. And letting that go for something unknown is scary.
It's very scary. It's very scary, and it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to not know, and it's okay to have a hard time, and it's okay for your 10-year-old to not trust your inner parent, because if your inner parent knew how to do this job of knowing how to be important enough, then it wouldn't be in this situation. So it's really a process of your 10-year-old stepping back and your inner parent learning how to step up.
Yeah.
How are you doing right now?
It feels like, yeah, I agree with what you just said. And you know, it feels like, you know, yeah, I know, but how do I do it?
How do you step up?
How do I get my 10-year-old to step back and not always interfere while my inner parent is, you know, trying to step up? Because it feels like the 10-year-old is a lot. I call her my ferocious warrior because because there's so much energy and rage and pain and grief, you know, and she's used to taking on the responsibility, and she also takes pride in that, and letting that go for an insecure inner parent to try on their to try and fail and try and fail, you know, it's really difficult.
It is difficult because it's going to be much easier for that 10-year-old to just keep doing this than to try something else. But what's interesting is that if your 10-year-old doesn't let go or learn how to let go, then it's never going to see what else can happen, because it might think it knows what's going to happen. Oh, I know what's going to happen. Oh, I know what's going to happen if I do this. I know what's going to happen, but it doesn't really know.
Mm-hmm.
So your 10-year-old might say, oh, my inner parent's never going to stick up. I just have to keep making decisions. But until it understands that it might be angry, it might be frustrated, it might be having a lot of pain from that inner parent, then, and that's okay to feel maybe abandoned by the inner parent in these situations too. So that's part of it, is asking questions to that 10-year-old. Why do you think this? Is you acting and saying these things actually getting us what we want? Because you're going to have to start out thinking that 10-year-old. So that's part of it. Your 10-year-old's ferocious, but it's not as powerful as it thinks it is. And asking questions to help it realize maybe it doesn't know everything that it knows. So we did some of that today of it going, yeah, I need help from the inner parent. And then that's when you can start learning, because it's a learning process. And your 10-year-old's very good at learning. So I assume that it can figure this out. It's just also honoring how it's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Of being angry, so this is going, so there's a lot of things that's going to be going on. Your 10-year-old's going to be afraid, it's going to be nervous, it's going to be saying these things, no one's ever going to need me. The inner parent is never going to show up, maybe just because it's scared and it doesn't know what the hell else to do. So it's saying these things to help protect you because it thinks that's what's best.
Mm-hmm.
And your inner parent's going to have to step up and realize it's this 10-year-old saying that and saying, oh my gosh, 10-year-old, thank you so much for saying that. It sounds like you're scared. Let me help you figure out what you can figure out, rather than trying to figure out this life stuff that you're not going to know anyway, because you can't figure it out. No matter what data it is, no matter how much research there is on what's possible with people, everything, like there's so many things that have been proven wrong by what's conventional knowledge and what's possible with people.
Mm-hmm.
And just, so that's a big part of the inner parent is, oh my God, my 10-year-old's piping up, they're having a hard time, I need to soothe it. How can I soothe it right now? So what does your 10-year-old need to feel soothed when it's having a hard time about this abandonment and not feeling important enough?
It usually helps when I say, I appreciate you. It's very helpful what you're bringing up. You're right about that. Thank you for contributing. I see you. I hear you.
And what do you say to it when it's scared?
She says, I'm never scared.
Uh-huh. I love that voice because she says, I'm never scared.
I'm not scared. That's the 3-year-old. I'm not scared. Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult to even get her to acknowledge that she's scared, obviously. and it feels unsafe.
Yeah, because if she's out there taking care of anyone of all of these 4 parts of you, then she can't she probably doesn't feel like she can be scared.
Yeah.
So I would love your homework until we meet next is to tell her once a day how proud you are of her. So just like what you were saying, and then come in with this fact of it's okay to be scared. It's okay to have a hard time, and it's okay to learn how to let this go and feel really fucking scared during this, because it's strange and it's different and you're going to fuck up. But guess what? If you keep going, then you'll get to a point that you don't have to be leading the charge, and you can just go sit back and play and pipe up when you want to pipe up.
So tell her that I'm proud of her. Let me get this down.
Yep. So tell her that you're proud. Tell her how smart she is, because that's going to like,
Yes.
And she'll probably go, I know.
Yeah.
And thank her for being out there and leading the way for you on this.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And tell her it's okay to be scared.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to be hurt as well.
And to not know what's going on.
Yeah, not know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
How is this resonating with that 10-year-old of yours? What I'm saying?
It feels good. It's like I'm already trying to include it in my power hour, in my captain's orders, for the day. And then it feels like that's gonna do something, that's gonna change something.
Yeah. Because what I'm having you say, and you recognizing like she's hurt even when she's saying I'm not scared. I'm not scared. That's inner parenting coming in and saying, I hear you and I don't believe you, and I'm going to keep saying this because there's something there. So this is also teaching you to say, you're speaking up and I'm not taking this personally, and I'm going to hear what you're saying and realize there's probably something going on underneath that.
Uh-huh.
And that's the definition of inner parenting. So you're stepping up what's going on within you and how you relate to yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. 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 They're not yeah. Not taking it personally and asking what's going on underneath. Yeah. That's, mhm.
But
That's
it's
how you're supposed to treat real world children when they're acting up, and that's how you're supposed to inner parent your inner children. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
but don't expect perfection. So how are you doing it as we're wrapping up for today?
I feel like you've given me the homework you've given me. It's gonna challenge me, but it's also gonna help me, and it feels like the right thing to be doing right now.
Good. We're going to be softening that 10-year-old of yours. Softening, 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 softening. And then that'll allow that inner parent to sneakily step up. So that's the goal. We'll see how it goes. And what was your biggest aha moment for today?
How you just defined inner parenting. I don't think I've had it. I've really understood it this clearly before. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Any final questions for today?
No, I'm good.
So thank you so much for the call today, and I will talk to you next week.